2, 1. Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of ArmTalk. I'm your boy. I'm your host, Jody Williams. But you know, that's enough about me because tonight, my guest, good friend of mine, my man, Paul Passmore. Paul, what's up, buddy?
What's going on? How's it going, Jody?
Man, it's going good. I'm getting excited because we are about a week away now? Is about a week away before a week from tomorrow, actually, for a Knuckles Up 5, yes?
Yes. The my dream match, promotion. I'm so honored to be part of this. I'm glad this worked out. This is one of the coolest matches. I know it kind of mirrors a little bit what I did at the East West this summer. Right. Pulling somebody from the other side of the planet. If anything, this is even further away than what we did this summer. So I'm extremely pumped about it. I feel like this match is really cool in a stylistic way as well, because I spoke to Brad Grundy a little bit. I think he's pretty good friends with both of us, so he didn't divulge a lot, but he did kind of give me a little insight, just formal. He's a good drag top roller, and I've studied him, and I'm kind of a drag hook puller, and those two styles couldn't be much more polar opposites. So I've been studying him, and as far as stature, I think we're the exact same height, weight, build, probably lever length, hand size. We're probably going to be very similar sized on the table. We're coming in at 242, so I'll be right there at the top of my weight class. So I couldn't be more excited about this. It's going to be my absolute dream matchup.
Well, tell everybody who you pulling. That way we all kind of have an idea. Because it's somebody, where's he from? Japan?
He's from South Korea. His name is Ji Hyun Min. And the only common opponent we've had is Brad Grundy. And we have both got wins on Brad, and we have both lost to Brad in the past. So, that puts us, if you want to do that type of math, which is hard to do, you can't really compare opponents because we're all connected differently, but that puts us in a pretty competitive match. If you think about it, I'm expecting a really nasty war with this guy. I think he's going to be a very game opponent.
Well, and here's the deal, because I think G was on the last Knuckles Up a card, so I'm sure you saw lots of footage on him and kind of sat down there and broke everything down. You were telling me that you put together a great camp to get you prepared for this match, so I'm excited for you. So do we have any nerves? Because this is going to morph into what I really want to talk about, the disrespect that you get or lack thereof. But now you went from the East vs. West Challenger Series, and now you're going to the Knuckles Up. So before we get to that, do you have any nerves going into this match on a bigger stage?
Always. I always have nerves. I'm really good at dealing with it. I think that comes a little bit from my MMA background, just comparing the nerves for a fight versus the nerves for an arm wrestling match it's a lot easier to manage an arm wrestling match's nerves versus a fight. So that gives me a leg up, when it comes to the actual match and getting ready for it and walking out there. I always keep in mind when, the worst that can happen maybe would be an arm injury or just losing an arm wrestling match versus, in the cage fight, you getting beat severely and knocked unconscious, slammed on your head in front of even a usually a much larger crowd. And so the nerves, in comparison aren't near as bad. But yes, an opportunity like this, I want to win so bad. And if you want to win something too bad, it can be detrimental too. So I try to just keep calm about it and just keep a good, calm focus. Right. Because I've been in a situation and seen others in the past. I think it's just human nature. If you want something too bad, you tend to overthink it, overdo it, go too hard, burn yourself out. If it's, you got to keep it in a good place mentally to where it's not life or death, but it's an arm wrestling match. It's something you want to do, but you want to keep your composure. And
Right.
I think just, you're probably similar. You learn to keep your composure doing something, and it allows you to perform at your best. When you get to a certain level of doing anything, you've got to learn to maintain your focus and apply your skill set on the table versus get out there and lose your cool and because of the crowd and the venue and all that. And the bigger the name and the bigger the venue, the harder it is to do. I've seen a lot of practice champions who are just amazing, both in MMA and in arm wrestling in the gym training. And they can't seem to get it right mentally for big competitions. The guy you see in the gym and in the practice room just doesn't show up to these big matches. And if they ever learn to, that they'd be a killer. But some people just can't get that mental edge that they need to bring what they're capable of doing in practice to the competition in front of a large crowd. And some people just don't have that ability. And It's unfortunate because there's a lot of very talented individuals in the gym that just can't put it together. If anything, I'm kind of the opposite. I'm not that great in practice. And I don't rest for practice. I train all the way a couple days before practice, and I give it my all in practice. But I lose a lot in practice. But I tend to.
Oh yeah.
I tend to not lose nearly as much, and the bigger the event, the more I tend to shine. I know how to really prepare for it and peak for it. And I make sure I do that as good as possible.
Well, we're going to touch on the big events, but first things first, we got a question from Arch Dog. He says, people often say arm wrestling is a combat sport. Being that you did both of them, would you agree with that?
Absolutely. That's leaving MMA. I'm a 45-year-old man, so leaving MMA in my early 30s was a good decision. But it left a gap in my life. I missed that mano-a-mano competition, man-to-man, in a big stage in front of a crowd, and the amount of exercise and dieting and preparation it took for that. I missed all that, and I tried powerlifting. That didn't give me the feel. I tried competitive eating. That didn't give me the feel. But when I got into arm wrestling, that gave me the feel. That filled the void that MMA left in my life. I get the very, very same feeling walking on the stage for a super match and all the fulfillment and all the joy of winning and pain of losing that I did in cage fighting. So yes, it's an absolute combat sport. It's so similar. It's scary. It's not quite as detrimental to lose an arm wrestling match as it is a fight, but it's still pretty detrimental. I take a loss real hard normally. I'm a good sport about it, but it breaks my heart when I lose. I hate losing more than I love winning.
Well,
that losing usually makes me recreate myself every time. Whenever I take one, I'm in that gym twice as hard. The motivation and lesson it gives me.
Well, it's the difference, Paul, and you and I know this. It's the difference between team sports and one-on-one. Yes, you have an arm wrestling, you have a club. Yes, you got a sport. It's a sport where you got teammates. But when it comes down to it, when you get up on that table, it's just you. Your teammates only help you so much. You got to put together on there. So yeah, when you lose, it hits a little, hard. It hits a little harder, But I want to get into something, because I've known you for a while now, and you and I, we've talked back and forth. We share the same things to where I'm going to start this early in the show. Some people who may be listening may not like it, but I'm going to say what the fuck I want to say because it's my show, okay? Let's talk about the disrespect you get. First and foremost, how is it that my man Paul Passmore, let's all get this straight, last summer, right, there was a East versus West Challenger Series. Now, I'm not here to badmouth nobody, but I take a step back and go, all right, I'm going to watch my man Paul do some work. So he goes out there. Was the guy from Italy? Is that where he's from?
Ahmed Akbarzayev was the French heavyweight champion.
Okay. So now you go out there. Thanks for coming. Step off. 3-0. And then crickets. You didn't hear nothing from nobody. And I'm
No.
thinking, I don't know what the conversations were, but I assumed, and my fault for assuming, right? I assumed that anybody who won their match or even won convincingly might have gotten a call going, okay, hey, thanks a lot. But much to our chagrin, that wasn't the case. How did you feel about that?
You're right, crickets. I was expecting doors to open from that one. Anybody in any sport wants to claw their way to the top of the mountain. And, I had just about gotten there before my arm break with Wall, and it was very similar. It was almost like history repeated itself, man. It's disappointing. It's heartbreaking. I'm one of those, I never give up. I'm an eternal optimist. But when I beat Corey West, it was kind of an understood thing that I was going to get a shot at a Wall contract. Never happened. I was very disappointed. I think, honestly, the mindset there was they were going to feed me to Corey West, and I was going to be, his match to get a Wall contract. And there was no possible way in anybody's mind that I could have won that, being significantly smaller. I ended up winning. I think it took a lot of people by surprise, and nothing became of it. That was disappointing. I lived through that, and then ended up suffering a major injury. I wasn't sure if I'd ever be back where I'm at.
Right.
And then I said that so I could say this. Basically, the same thing happened. I was like, okay, this match with East versus West is my final. Is a good second chance at, I'm back at the top of the mountain. If I win this, I'm going to probably get a big contract and some great opportunities. And I won convincingly against an international badass opponent. Ahmed's a bad dude. I promise you. Anybody that doesn't believe me, grab a hold of him. In crickets, nothing happened again. Luckily, this time, no injuries or anything afterwards, but nothing happened. And it was disappointing. I was expecting some things to really come to fruition, some of my dream matches, maybe some other great opportunities. And as far as EVW went, nothing's happened. Not to say that anything will, but it's been a minute and I haven't heard a word. And I also have noticed that a lot of the winners, I believe most of the winners, if not all except me, have been given other opportunities with the Florida Arm Wrestling League. The other EVW got kind of fell through, but, they took on with Florida. And anyway, it didn't happen. But knuckles up. God bless these wonderful people. You know what? I'm glad that EVW did me the way they did, and Knuckles Up decided to give me a shot, because they've been wonderful. And I really feel like, they're doing something special for people like us, like me and you, Jody. There's kind of there seems like there's just what's the word they use, a glass ceiling kind of for a lot of pullers. There's like a special clique of arm wrestlers that just gets a pass no matter what they do. They can take 5 years off and then go jump right in with a top promotion. They just get a pass, and then there's people that's out there busting it, pulling local tournaments, putting their name on the line, fighting. They're fighting champions, staying active, training hard, and they just don't get the shots. And then some guy can sit on his hands for 5, 6, 7 years and go get right on a main card in EVW, which is bullshit.
Here, I'm glad you said that. You know what I consider yourself and me? The lunchbox guys. What does that mean? I tell you what it means. I'm gonna take my watch off. I'm about to get live in a minute. The lunchbox guys. We are those guys. That means we come in there, clock in, put the work in, clock out, go home. That's what we do. Now, granted, I got these shows going on here, and before I go any further, as you can see the comment here, social media has huge blind spots built on business affiliations. It's one of the major issues with monetized media, boosted media. Now, here's the thing, man. What you said is correct. There are some people out there, and maybe it's because maybe they move the needle more than we do, Paul. That's just the bottom line. Maybe they move the needle. And if that's the case, so be it. I guarantee, I'll tell you what. I bet let's just say me and Travis Bajan, okay, or you and Michael Todd. If we all water with outside watered our grass, I guarantee you Michael Todd and Travis will get 2x, 3 times as many views than we would if we do the exact same thing because they move the needle. That's fine. It is what it is. However, this is where I'm coming from, okay? Until Knuckles Up said, hey, Paul, what's up, man? We like what you did. Prior to that, you could take away East versus West for a second. Let's put them off to the side for a second. You mean to tell me Global Elite didn't give you a call? You mean to tell me Arm Wars didn't give you a call? You know, you didn't get a super match in Florida? The guys in Texas, the Texas Kingpin? What's going on? You mean to tell me that, hey, you couldn't get a super match anywhere? You couldn't go to the Montana Armbender? You see my point being, you know, hey, what about AWC up in Canada? Nothing. Crickets, right? Okay, fine. But all that's about to change, my friend, because now in about a week, you, my friend, got a date with the man from South Korea, and y'all about to get it down. So with that being said, there's more coming for the Passmore. So no, Candy, it ain't going to be no Passmore curse this year, girlfriend. I'm telling you right now, because Paul, trust me, you have another big event coming up in March, you know, that you and I are going to be there.
Hell yeah.
Telling you right now, how do you deal with that, though? When you sit there and go, it makes people want to quit. I've talked to people before. Men and women.
I was about to quit after everything panned out with East versus West. I damn near quit. I got that. And I'm not a quitter. I've never quit anything in my entire 45 years on this planet. I damn near stepped away from the sport. I was that. And I'm not one to ever get in my feelings. I barely even have feelings. But I got in my feelings on that one. That one hurt. I was like, damn, I mean, that was my dream, and I thought something was going to happen, and nothing did. Again, finally, is there ever a path to success in this sport? You know, there's really not a clear-cut path to success in this sport. You know, it's a lot of luck, and then it seems like the closest thing to a clear-cut path is becoming a very strong social media influencer instead of an arm wrestler. And I'm understanding that. And in all honesty, I have an extremely busy life. I have to kind of choose, do I want to train and work out really hard, or do I want to make videos? And I'm Jody, I'm an athlete. You know, I could make some good videos. I talk well, I can commentate and do all that. But when it comes down to it, my time's better spent training really hard. If I filmed everything I do in the gym, I mean, it's crazy as hard as I work out, but I don't have really the time to do both right now because I have a very demanding job and a family, two sons who are very active in sports. And, you know, unfortunately, I'm currently really unable to find the time to add the social media influence that I need to, I guess, to get to that next level. But really, at the end of the day, that's kind of bullshit. It should be the athlete that wins gets the opportunities, but that seems to not really be the case anymore. It's just who can sell the most views.
Well, I mean, and that's a double-edged sword because for example, I've gone on some of the bigger stages, lost in my stock rolls too. It's how I lost, you know. So I do get that. But, you know, yeah, there's nothing more aggravating than you put the work in training and then the results come out, you on top, and you're still like, what do I have to do? And I know that question's crossed your mind time and time again. What do I have to do to prove to you guys that, hey, I'm legit? Have y'all not seen that? What are we doing here? And if I got to every now and then, if you got to repost that video of you smacking that guy at the Challenger Series, you may have to go ahead and do that. I always tell people, you know what? You got to go out there and do it yourself. What I mean, promote yourself, because who else is going to do it? Now, granted, hey, Chris came along and said, look, we're going to give you a shot and opportunity. So now you know, it's like, okay, I got this shot. I can't blow it. You know, I got to go out there because in the back of your mind, you kind of go, okay, if I blow this, will I get another opportunity? You know, and that has to cross your mind too. But when you go out there and show them what you got, you know, hey, guns blazing, man, let's do what we do. You know what I'm saying?
I do this for the fight. I missed fighting. I love winning and hate losing, but the harder and nastier that match is, I'm in my element. When it gets nasty and we're sitting there just in a brutal back and forth, vendetta match or whatever, and it's competitive, I've never felt more alive. Back when I used to fight and it was a good cage fight and we were going back and forth and it was a war and I was sweating and bleeding, I've never felt more alive. I love it. When you get in a brawl with me on that table, you're bringing out the best of me. The longer and nastier it gets, the harder I fight. I live for that shit.
Yeah.
And, that's part of the reason I do this. It's, we got one life on this earth, in make the most out of it, have some experiences and memories, do things, chase your dreams, do stuff that other men most men aren't like me and you, Jody. They're scared to do this kind of shit. They're horrified. They wouldn't dream of actually doing anything on this level where they risk their health and body and have to train that hard and could potentially lose. When you're fighting people on your level, nothing's guaranteed. When I go out to that table, I don't know if I'm going to beat G. He don't know if he's going to beat me, in all honesty. It's going to be a fight, though. I know I've got a bad son of a bitch that's going to be stepping across the table from me every time. When you get to our level, Jody, there's no more easy matches. Everybody's bad, and that's what's so cool about it, though, that you're in your element against people on your level. It's awesome. And just think about all the work and all the years we put in to get to this level, and the same with our opponents. We got a lot on the line every time, and that just gives us a great story to tell our grandchildren one day when we do get too old to do this.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit back and tell my grandkids, your grandpa was a badass, when he need to be. But here's a perfect example. CO, my man says, Sabin Badalescu, retired Bajan, and has a win over Levon. Look what social media has done for him over the past few years. And honestly, the last time we saw him, what happened? He won his match versus Pablo at the King of the Table. Matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, if you guys go back and see that match, it's on YouTube. Look it up. Pablo versus Sabin Badalescu. Pablo went up 2-0. And what happened? Sabin came back and won 4 straight.
Yeah, Sabin's one of my favorite pullers, and he doesn't get the opportunity he deserves.
You see what I'm saying? So it's almost like if you move the needle, right? If you move the needle, fine. But then there are some guys who get opportunities time after time after time. Yeah, some of them deserve it. Others, it's like, okay. But when you hear it, this is what I said before, WAL. Before COVID fucked everything up, right here is this cabinet drawer right here. And I had a WL contract. They sent me one. And I was about to sit there, read through it thoroughly before I ink it. And that's when COVID kicked in and kind of blew everything up. So as a souvenir, my contract is sitting right here in this file cabinet. That's one of my armors and mementos, right? But when Wall first came out and it was tournament format, and they had like the regionals in like New Orleans and Chicago and Atlantic City and Vegas and that kind of stuff, at least you had an outside chance. Like, okay, I might have a chance to, wreck some people. All it takes is somebody to have a bad weekend. It's on. Mm-hmm. However, when they went to Supermatch format, when Wall went to like Bleacher Sports, it was new, like, for us, because let's be real. The godfather of Supermatches is Neil Pickup. Let's go ahead and get that out the way right now. Now, when Wall did their super matches, right? Fine, no big deal. But after a while, it was the same people. It's kind of going, okay, you're going to regurgitate the same guys over and over. It's almost like I'll take these 30 guys. Now everybody else is on the outside looking in. So it's like, okay, and being the fan that I am, I'm going to still watch it because I'm a fan. But after a while, it's like, okay, how many times are you going to keep running those same guys over and over? You know what I mean? Like, you got other people who are kicking ass, training hard, putting in the work, and they don't even get a crumb, right?
Yeah.
There's a reason why you go talk to Ryan Grondin, who might be live right now, by the way, 98%, right? There's a reason his concept works. The 98%, we are 98%. We're like the lunchbox kids. We come in there, grind, kick ass, do what we do. Might not get the publicity, might not get the opportunity, but I'm glad people like you are getting opportunities now because you deserve that well in advance. You had awesome wins, but you never got to, rectify that. You had good pins and stuff like that, but you never got a chance to fulfill that dream on a bigger stage. And when you did do that, you fucking took care of business and you still didn't get nothing. So yeah, there's a part of me that kind of irks me too, because I, like yourself, kind of went through the same thing. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? It almost makes you want to quit, but I ain't going to give nobody the benefit of the doubt, because I tell you what, we do this because we love the sport. If I didn't care about this, I would have walked away a long time ago.
Very much so, yes.
And I get it, Paul. You tell me this, though. When you sit there and kind of go, damn, do I got to fucking be an a-hole on social media to get all the views just to get my name out there? And I always tell people, yeah, I'll sit there and post a video from a match that happened 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, just to kind of keep it fresh. And like I said, you got to do that kind of stuff, because we live in this world of social media where it's like, okay, who's watching? Somebody was watching, because guess what? You got the call from Knuckles Up. So they was watching, Now, we got these other leagues out there. Armed Guys, they come into Philadelphia. Winter Blast, my friend, you and I, we're going to team up, part of Team USA, and we're going to whoop some ass, right? Against the UK guy,
I think we should be in each other's corner, both matches.
I'm with you, man. You let me know. I'm with you, because you got a stud. I got a stud. I'm telling you right now, when you got guys like you, me, RVJ, oh man, Paul Cruz, I'm telling you right now, that's the summer Team USA. Then you got Corey Miller, Jason Merlot. List goes on and on. I'm sure you guys will get the match cards soon enough. But we got plans for the UK guys coming here.
Can we make any announcements about that or not? I don't know if we can talk about it too much or not. They hadn't said not
right there. Well, yeah. All I said was that we're going to be there. I never said who our opponents were.
Yeah. I've got a really good opponent I'm excited about. Yeah, that's going to be a banger too.
Yes, and guys and girls, I understand we're talking about stuff, and you probably want to know, well, who are you pulling? What's going on? All you need to know is that it's the Friday, March 21st, right outside of Philly, Winter Blast. It's the Armed Gods presentation. Me and Paul and the rest of Team USA are going to sit there and whack some people, and then, of course, the next day is the actual tournament. Now, also, Paul, you know who you should get a hold of too? Get a hold of Ian Carnegie with the Mac thing now.
We've been talking.
Yes.
Yep. I've already told him I'm down. Let's do it.
Yes. So again, and maybe you know what, Paul? The more I think about this, and don't take this the wrong way, right? Because the dream, right? Okay, King of Table, yes, East versus West. That would be a dream to be on there. But you know what, though? If it's not in the cards, it's not in the cards. If you got other promotions reaching out to you, then maybe, you know what? Since they're reaching out to me, they did. The other guys didn't, but these guys did. Fine. I might put my eggs in that basket. You see what I'm saying?
Right. You know what? I stick with my people. If they want me, I want them. They're my people. If they don't want me, guess what? I don't want you either.
Yeah.
Knuckles Up is the one that gave me the opportunity. They're going to get my loyalty. They're going to get 100% of my loyalty. I'm going to be, Armed Guys gave me an opportunity. I'm going to be as on board with them as I could possibly be. I'm going to be the one to really promote and push them and give them everything I can possibly give. When I take it serious. If somebody gives me an opportunity and they want to, bring me to another city to pull somebody, I'm going to put the best version of myself I could possibly put on the table.
Right.
I'm going to eat right, exercise right, rest right, not do the things I know not to do and do everything I know to do. And however, you always put a different version of yourself on the table for every big match. You always put the best version you can, but everything's a little different. Every training camp's different. There's different injuries, different, oohies and owies. But at the end of the day, I take it that serious. I want to do. I can't think of a time. There's been some I've not been as good, not been as healthy, but it was the best version I could possibly put of myself on the table every time I've ever pulled. I can honestly say that.
Okay, so, being the fans that we are, how come nobody else can see that? I mean, they're starting to see it now, but how come up until that point nobody else saw that?
Yeah.
I'm like, what are we doing here, people? Like, damn, what more do you want from me? You know? But like I said, this year, 2025 is going to be different. I'm telling you right now, opportunities are going to come, right? And I'm telling you right now, man, you're in a good spot, because now it's like, hey, dude, good spot. Because now it's like, you know what? Knuckles up, arm God, y'all gave me opportunities, and I appreciate that. And you know what? Let me pay you guys back by going here and showing you why you made a good decision by selecting me. That's what you do.
Yep. I mean, I could perfectly stated. Couldn't say it any better. You know, they put their faith in me, and I'm going to give them what they put their faith in. I'm the type guy. You might beat me, but you're going to walk off licking your wounds. It's not going to be a fun time. It's not going to be an easy match. You know, if I lose, I promise you, I want to leave everything I've got on that damn table. Every time. And I'm going to bring the highest level of myself I can put on the table too. So getting through me is not ever going to be easy. It's been done, but I've never felt like the guy had an easy match when he did beat me.
Right. Paul Stevens says, I know I'll never be called to any those promotions. I'll just pull the pull. Paul, let me ask you, well, first of all, is Sarah and Paul not the most common names in our sport? Or is it just me?
There's a lot. Yes, there's a lot of Pauls.
Like Paul Passmore, Paul Stevens, Paul Lynn, Paul Tyler before he walked away, Sarah Latona, Sarah Bachman, Sarah Wilson. I mean, woo, man, the most common
we could
name.
probably come up with 10 fairly well-known Pauls and 10 fairly well-known Sarahs. I've thought about that before.
Yeah, you know. So Paul Stevens, let me ask you this. Not so, because my friend, I remember, was it 2 years ago, maybe even 3 now, 2 years ago, it was a Florida versus California thing, and Florida came to California. So I'm not trying to hear that right now, because that was a big thing, what you guys had down there in California. Southern California, there was a match with, it was California. So Chance Shaw brought his group down here, and, you know, you still had, California had Sheldon and Paul Stevens and, you know, Mika, you know, Dallas Langston, the list goes on and on. So, Paul, I'm not trying to hear that, my friend. I'm just joking at you. But, yeah, you've been there. You've gotten opportunities too, you know. So,
well, I'll tell you, just a quick story, a little bit about my background, Paul. I pulled amateur for about a year, was dominant. And anytime I ever pulled amateur, I always pulled pro. And I would usually win the amateur tournament when I was starting pretty easy. And then I'd get demolished by every pro, even the shittiest pro. But after it's kind of the unwritten rule. After you win 3 amateur tournaments, both arms, it's kind of time to stop and go pro. And I honored that. I didn't feel quite ready to go pro, but I felt like amateur was no longer a challenge. And I'm not a sandbagger. So I went ahead and went pro. I don't think I won a pro match for about 2 years. Every pro tournament I went to and I just pulled pro, it was so discouraging, but I would go to 0-2 and go home shaking my head. I'm like, I want to do this really bad. I'm going to do this. I've got to figure something out, and it was very discouraging. I tried so damn hard and I couldn't beat the worst pro. But then one day I just kept putting in the work. I kept quietly killing it in the gym nonstop and just figuring it out and kept training. And it didn't happen slowly. It happened suddenly. All of a sudden, I started beating everybody. All that work paid off. It all clicked. It all clicked physically and mentally and spiritually. And, my advice to you, Paul, if you don't feel like it's ever going to happen, just keep quietly doing the damn work. And, man, I promise you, if you put in the work and put in the effort, it will happen. It's, if one man can do it, so can another. If you feel really discouraged about it, just keep that mindset. Remember, I went about 2 years taking severe ass whoopings, 0-2 right, 0-2 left, throw my money in the pot, walk off, shaking my head, and and eventually one day it just all clicked. So my advice to you is just keep your head up and keep putting in the work. I think you're a lot closer to it than you probably realize.
Yes, I mean, and Stevens, come on, man. Man, you and I know we're at a point, because I'll be 49 next month. And I'm like going, okay, so I don't know how much time I got before I call it good, but I still got some unfinished business to do. But, a lot of it depends on what big stage are you referring to? Because that says a lot, And when you go to these tournaments, right? And it's always good to hey, get somebody to film your match. Because you never know. You might get that one win, and all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, here we go. And guess what? And you promote yourself. Promote. Let me ask you a question there, Passmore. How many times do you think people viewed that win I had over James Wall? How many times do you think people saw that?
Probably a lot. I know I watched it. I mean, it was a great win. I imagine it was probably viewed quite a bit. Two pretty big names in the sport going head to head.
Just on YouTube, I'm gonna bring it up right quick just to see how many people saw that, because I'm like, man, it was on my shorts. So 557 views on YouTube, but I'm gonna tell you what, the ones that saw it on my Facebook, let me just pull that up, because I'm telling you, this is some of the stuff you got to do, man. You got to do that over and over again. Okay, that same match that got 557 on YouTube, I put that on my Facebook, 2.4 thousand. 2.4K. So again, and all it took was just like, okay, and I didn't think anything of it, because I know James Wall pulled that super match the night before with the other hand. So we're talking left-handed, right? So, we go into the tournament, Washington State, and all of a sudden it's like going, oh, James is in there, cool, whatever. I win my first match. I think James might have won his. I can't remember. He might have lost. I don't remember. But we ended up meeting up. I lost my second match, so we ended up meeting up. Right. Bottom line, the loser is out. Okay, cool. Third place, no big deal. Right. Fine. Now I'm like going, okay, James is a thick dude. You should know this and take notes there, Paul. James Wall's a thick dude, Granted, it was the opposite hand, but thick dude, right? I'm thinking, okay, the one thing I cannot do, I cannot do is go into a hook with this guy, I ain't scared of going to the hook, but sometimes you got to realize, I probably don't want to go on the hook with this dude. So yeah. I'm trying to go away from this guy. I'm going the opposite way, and I put everything I got into that match, and damn it to hell if I didn't come out on top. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So with that being said, I took that frame. I said, all right, I'm going to repost that shit. I'm proud of what I did, because I had no idea that was going to happen. I had no inkling that I was the underdog going into that match. Nobody thought I was going to win. Now, one person, when they called our names to the table, now one person thought I was going to win. And what happened? Got that W. It's like, all right, I'm going to repost that shit. Everybody saw it. People are seeing it now. So, for you, go back. Oh, Challenger Series, I'm going to repost that shit. And let people know, hey, this is the reason why Knuckles Up picked me. Boom, there it is right there. You take that from YouTube, Challenger Series, Paul versus homeboy from France, and when you post it in the caption, this is why Knuckles Up picked me on their show. Bam, there you go. That's how you promote yourself. You might have to start doing that.
Yeah. I used to post a whole lot of my wins and stuff all the time. I probably should get back to doing that. I know every time I do, my wife's like, well, I can see you're going through all your old videos again. But you know what? It's actually a pretty good thing. Every time I make it's really weird. Every time I make a really cool post with some good arm wrestling content videos or some workout video or be doing something, talking or whatever.
Yeah.
It almost seems like that day some opportunity will come my way later. It's really weird. Somebody would have seen that video and it'll start a conversation. So you're absolutely right. I posted some stuff a couple weeks ago and got an opportunity to get on Arm Guys that evening. And I don't think it was a coincidence. So Yeah, you're right. I need to probably start blasting a bunch of really cool videos again.
Listen, I got potentially 3 matchups this year. 2 for sure. The third was kind of up in the air. All 3 of those matches, international pullers. By the way, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Arm Gods, cool, international puller. I'm going to Mexicali, Mexico, right? In July.
Cool.
There you go. I'm talking with Carnegie, So there you go, man. I got stuff lined up, and you got to go out there and just, train. And you got to go out there and promote yourself. I don't have an agent, like, hey, I just don't. You got to go out there and do what you got to do,
Yeah, and I noticed like promotions like Arm Gods and Knuckles Up, even if you lose, but you show class and you're entertaining and you put up a good fight and you showed up and it's obvious that you're ready and you're on that level, they give you more opportunities. Like G, for instance, he lost a Knuckles Up match against, I believe, the Chinese champion. And he's been invited back. It was a very competitive match, and the guy was considerably larger than him. But yeah, he lost, and he's coming back. Same with Arm Gods. It's not like you're out, and I think that's pretty cool. One thing I've noticed though that's a little frustrating is some of these promotions. It looks like somebody would get an opportunity they truly didn't deserve. That they'll get. Well, I've seen it, and I'm not going to name names because I've already actually got into some arguments with a few of these people by naming their names.
Somebody being salty.
Yeah, it was kept private on a couple of them, but we've definitely had some pretty harsh words. And they got an opportunity that I didn't feel like they deserved, and they went out there and got destroyed. And it's happened several times. Like the same person 2 or 3 times gets out there and gets demolished, and they keep getting opportunities. And I said something about it. They got highly offended. I'm like, well, you didn't look like you even belonged up there. I can understand if it was a good match, but it's like, damn, you didn't deserve it. You went up there and proved me right. Really, you got the opportunity because you're a good social media person, but you're not a great arm wrestler. You're not a great athlete. You sold your name, but you got out there and got your ass kicked, and yet you still get opportunities over people who actually do deserve and can get out there and put up a good match. And that's a problem I have, and that's something I've noticed East versus West is pretty bad about. There's 2 or 3 of them, and like I said, we've kind of buried the hatchet, so I'm going to leave it alone. But I've noticed they're pretty bad about just putting people out there with a certain name that really don't deserve it. So anyway, Knuckles Up if you get out there and you deserve it. Arm Gods, you get out there and deserve it, and even if you lose, I believe you get invited back. If you get out there and pull with class and entertain it, and it's a good matchup. So yeah. I believe that's the way it should be. It's kind of geared towards the athletes.
Right. And I like that because those guys, and you can throw Mac in there too, because those are the people that understand, like, yeah, he's been kicking ass. And even though that, they're not on the big stage, they deserve something. So, like, I mean, look at Wayne Withers. He is your right-handed Mac super heavyweight champion. There you go. So he's representing the super heavyweight. He's the champion right now. So at some point he's going to get another crack because he got the belt. You know what I'm saying? So with all that being said, I totally get where you're coming from, Paul. I really do, because you go out there and kind of go, all right. It doesn't mean that once you take a loss that they don't call you back no more. That's kind of messed up. So there's almost that extra pressure because you don't know what they got in store. Are you going to throw me a bone? Okay, you're going to throw me a bone, because I know some promoters, and I know I ain't going to say who they are, will throw you a bone just to see, okay, let's just throw them a bone so we can keep quiet. And then they lose, and it's like, oh, yeah, see, I told you this is the reason why we never gave you a shot. I've been there before, right? Mm-hmm. Then that same thing, that you win, now they got to listen to you. Now they got to listen to you,
Well, they don't have to, because I've done that and they didn't listen to me. but yeah, on paper, yeah, they should. The performance based is what makes the world go round. You know, if you go to work and you don't perform and you don't win and you don't do what you're supposed to do, you're not going to keep that job very long.
Right.
And it's the same way with this. Well, it's not the same way with this sport, but it's that way with most sports. You know, this is a very unique sport in a lot of ways. But, you know, if you're an NFL football player and you're a quarterback that you're not connecting passes and you're a receiver and you got hands of stone, you're not going to play very long. But if you catch every pass they throw to you and you're throwing frozen rope footballs to somebody 60 yards down the field right on the numbers, you're going to keep that job a long time. You know, it's performance based, and that's anything, especially in athletics. But it seems like this sport doesn't really reflect that. You know, it's like a outlier.
Right. And like I said, sometimes, you know, I'll take me for example. If I were to go on these, you know, events and just get mauled the next couple of events, okay, fine. Hey, thanks for giving me an opportunity. I got work I got to do. Maybe now I got to train hard and go back to the tournament format just to kind of build myself back up again, you know, and that's what I did. Hell, San Diego, California, November. What was that? That was the WSA finals. Paul Stevens, you in the chat, you were there. You saw what happened. There's about 16, maybe 18 dudes in the 239 class, left hand. I took fourth. So think about that. I finished higher than Jordan Seal. I finished higher than Ron Bath, just to name a couple, right? Now, the way brackets ended up, I didn't end up pulling those guys, but I had to get some badass wins to get up there. So, yeah, right. You know, Paul Cruz got a win on him. Mega Mike got a win on him. Do you see what I'm saying? So, even
those
though
are two huge wins. You
right.
beat Paul Cruz and Mega Mike, you've done something.
Yes. So those wins, I'm thinking, all right, so that catapulted me, right? Then what happened? The following month, Washington State. Oh, hey, got a good win on James Wall. Here we are again. So now my momentum's going up now. So now it's like, okay, cool. Now all of a sudden, you know, hey, what's going on, dude? We'd love to have you at this event. Cool. Tell me when it's at. All right, cool. That's how you line stuff up. So I'm thinking, all right, sometimes you have to go to the tournament format, get some wins on some good people to kind of get your name out there. Hey, I beat this guy, I beat that guy. What are we doing here, you know?
Yeah, you know, and tournaments are great to make your name. And once you've made your name, they can be a little dangerous. I've noticed a lot of higher level pullers kind of avoid tournaments because a tournament format is way different than a super match. You know, you may get in a banger with somebody and then have another really tough match right after that and end up losing to somebody that you would have probably beaten a super match because you're a little fatigued. You know, it's a whole different experience, but that's how you make your name. And then also, you know, like I've got 3 gigantic events with people that's invested money in me to get me out there. And in between each one of those gigantic events that I have planned, I have a local tournament, Alabama State and Georgia State. And now I'm kind of torn. Do I want to compete? And it's more like, do I want to risk an injury?
Right.
You know, and I'm sitting here like, okay, so when I pull knuckles up, I got Alabama State, and I went undefeated both arms. I love pulling that tournament. It's my favorite tournament. But I'm like, do I need to really go out there and put my arm on the table right after I win this knuckles up match and risk a potential injury a month before I pull arm gods? Because let me tell you what happened. Alabama State last year, one of my heroes, favorite puller, finally got a match with Craig Touye. We were talking about it. He had an arm gods match in about a month after Alabama State. In our match, he injured himself. He pulled his shoulder and pec in our match and was unable to go pull arm gods in freaking Ireland.
Right.
Can you imagine hurting yourself and losing that opportunity for a local tournament? Because some of these guys you run into in these local tournaments, they might not be this super big name, but you could run into a pretty bad SOB, especially if you pulled somebody else tough right before that, and you could potentially get hurt. And then, you know, so I'm kind of torn, you know. And then I got Georgia State after Arm Gods, and then after that, I got the Bob Brown thing in Utah. And these people have invested this money in me. Do I want to risk messing that up? It's
That's a
tough.
tough decision, man. But you know what, though? You got to sit back and go, okay, if I got the opportunity to pull at these events, do I really want to ruin that by going back to where, yes, you love Alabama State. That's like your home away from home tournament. Yes, you love Georgia State. But sometimes you got to take a step back and go, okay, had I not had these opportunities, then yes, I would be there, no doubt. But because of your domination at those events you just mentioned, Alabama State, Georgia State, because you've been so dominant there is the reason why, another reason why you're getting that opportunity on the bigger stage. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And it's almost like if you go in there not 100%, I mean, you can go in there 80, 90% and probably still do good. But if you go in there because you got injured, that's almost like a slap in the face to the promoter. Because then it's like, dude, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like that, But since you mentioned round robin, is the round robin in Utah? What is it?
Yes. So Bob Brown, Salt Lake City, Utah, April 5th. We're doing the eight man round robin. I'm definitely in it. There's still a couple people that's trying to figure it out. But it's going to be a pretty high level eight man round robin. Everybody's going to be heavyweights and super heavyweights. I know Wayne Withers is still trying to figure it out, and Austin Jaggers is still trying to figure it out. I'm not. Ron's in it, and then Shark is in it. Grundy's in it. So it's going to be, and there's a few other Willis Dilly something.
Oh yeah.
He's going to be in it. So it's going to be a bunch of pretty bad dudes. I'll be one of the smaller guys, but I'm that's nothing new to me. I'm used to pulling guys way bigger than me. I've gotten wins on most of the people in it in the past, so that shows I'm there. But yeah, it's going to be a really good one. We're still getting it figured out. I'm not quite sure how much I need to talk about it just yet, but I feel pretty okay divulging what I divulged just now. But yeah, it's going to be a good one. So I've got these 3 events that these people have invested money and got booked flights and planned on me. So I think the responsible adult thing to do, like I've always seen myself as a fighting champion, but I might need to be careful and, exercise a little bit of wisdom and be a little leery about these local tournaments. And it'll be the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, going to a tournament with Candy and Daniel and Henry and watching them pull and me just chomping at the bit, but just staying out of it. It'd be very difficult.
Be in a corner. Just because now you're up here. I mean, you're a celebrity anyway, but now that you're up here, oh, Paul, you pull it. Nah, I'm going to set this one out. I got some stuff coming up, but what's up? Let's take this Photoshop, let's go ahead and, want me to be in your corner, whatever. I can give you some advice, whatever, that kind of stuff. Because I'm telling you now, Paul, now that you done got to that point, now the whole purpose of this show is the fact that I need to put you out there because you deserve to be out there. And now, whether it be Knuckles Up, Arm Gods, Bob Brown, you are getting those opportunities that you deserve that should have happened sooner rather than later. And now that you're getting that, like I said, I'm going to say this, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it. 2025 is going to be different. I'm telling you right now,
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to divulge a little bit more about us personally. I know me and you and Mirleen and my wife Candy are basically a little family. We got a constant group chat going. Yeah, like we really are. We're all extremely close. There's a lot of love there, and I believe this is really going to be our year. It really is. Like all 4 of us there's a lot of good stuff coming up. I really, I feel like we really feed off each other too. And we're a really good team and family, for each other. And I really see this being an amazing year for all of us. We've had our ups and downs and struggles, but I believe things are really going to fall into place this year. I've got an amazing feeling. I think 2025 is, going to be our year. When this is over, I think we're all gonna be at a much higher place than we're at now. We're all very good pullers with unlimited potential. And when this year's over, I think people are going to see a lot more of that potential that we have.
I tell you what, Paul, I'm gonna do this. Anybody watching out there, and don't forget to hit the like button, people, subscribe, all 8 of you. But I can't wait for this to happen. You get your wins, I get my wins, and we're gonna post them. And anybody watching out there, do not take this the wrong way. Do not take this personally. I cannot wait to throw up my middle finger at everybody and go, you know what? Y'all can stick it.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all can stick it.
Yep. I mean, F the naysayers, right? We got a lot of haters out there. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of haters out there. Unfortunately, I try really hard, because the thing about me, when I do commit to an altercation, I commit 100%. Once I say I'm in, I'm in. You know, I'm gonna die on that hill. So I try not to commit to and get into too much, petty crap with people online. You know, I have in the past, and any time I ever really said, okay, I'm getting in this one, it's gotten really ugly. But yeah, and normally it's not even over me. It's over somebody messing with one of my friends. You know, that's
Right.
what really brings out my rough side, is when I see somebody picking on somebody I care about or love. And anyway, I try really hard to stay out of the drama, and I'm pretty good at it, but occasionally I get drug in it, and it's usually extremely ugly when I do. And I know that's the reason I try not to.
I speak my mind. Sometimes it's for the good, sometimes for the bad. Even I speak my mind for the good, and I still get my feet put to the fire. But hey, that's just the world we live in right now. It's the world we live in, unfortunately. That's just how it is. But yeah, I just can't wait. But when it starts rolling, it's rolling. But first things first, my friend, you up first next week. I can't wait, because I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna be screaming through the TV. I'm gonna be screaming through the TV.
Yeah, I mean, I feel so good right now. I feel so good. I'm healthy. I'm focused. I'm rested. I've trained great. And it's rare when I come into a match this healthy. I mean, normally when you train right, you're going to be a little bit banged up here and there, but that's part of preparing hard.
Right.
And I'm feeling so good. I really am. I feel really strong, really focused. My weight's great. And here's another, I was talking to one of my teammates earlier about this. Let's think about G for just a second, my opponent. He's coming from literally the opposite side of the planet. What, 1 or 2 days, possibly tops, before the match?
Right.
That's a major disadvantage. I wouldn't feel near as good about this match if I was having to travel to South Korea on the other side of the planet to pull him. And I do believe I've seen some little bit more recent videos of him, and I believe he was a lot heavier than me recently, and he's probably having to cut some weight, and I don't know this for a fact, but I do know that, my guess would be that he's probably having to do a hard cut, probably last 10 pounds or so this week while traveling. That's tough. I'm waking up on weight. This is my walk around weight, about 242. And that's on purpose. I don't have to really change anything about what I'm doing. I just show up and step on the scale in my underwear, 242, get dressed, I'm ready to go. And I'm a very lean, solid 242. I'm not carrying around any extra weight. So, and honestly, when I used to fight, that was my best fighting weight. If I come in about 240, give or take somewhere, that's when it seemed like my endurance, speed, strength, flexibility, everything came together at its best. If I was a little heavier, I might be a little stronger, but I'd be slower and get tired faster. Vice versa, if I was a little bit lighter, I was a little bit more cardio, a little bit faster, not near as strong, but right about 240-ish was my perfect weight for fighting. I knew after my years of doing it, that was where my body wanted to be to perform at its best. And it's just funny that arm wrestling has a weight class that's right there. Because when I pulled super heavyweight and I got up to 280, 290 pounds, I was eating everything inside. I wasn't doing any cardio. I felt awful. I wasn't limber, and this is my best weight. And there really isn't a great deal of difference in the strength of me now and me then. I'm a way better version of myself at this weight, especially now that I've been here. The longer you're at this weight, the better. Once you cut weight, the longer you're there, and that's your walk around weight, the more your body gets used to it. And I've been here quite a while now. So basically I said all that to say G's still cutting to get to that weight, and he's going to have to cut and then get rehydrated and all that while he's traveling. So,
well, how much was he before he started cutting then? Let me ask you that then.
I want to say G was, like me. I think he was getting on up there about 280, 290 pounds, and we're the same height.
Right.
I want to say we got a real similar backstory on size. I think he was just trying to get as big as he could to beat all these big guys. I think the last Knuckles Up, he was a lot heavier too, taking on the heavyweight guy he was pulling. But yeah, we're going to come in at the same weight. And my guess is that he's probably having to cut a little bit this last week and travel. So I feel like that works in my advantage a little bit.
Well, I'll tell you what you going to say at the press conference?
I play it kind of on how you come at me. If you're kind and respectful, you're going to get a kind and respectful version of me. And if you're cocky and arrogant, you're going to get an asshole out of me. So I'm going to let
hey, Arm Wars or Arm Gods hey, they going to come at you like that. Just know that.
And that's the thing. I'm unintimidatable. There's not a man that God has ever created that scares me. And, when you get in my face, honestly, probably the worst thing you can do is disrespect me and piss me off. Ahmed did that a little bit. I don't know if you saw that press conference, but there was tension, and then you saw during the match, there's got a little bit more tension. One thing I learned about, and you probably know this, but European pullers like to try to get in your head a little bit, and they like to complain about everything you're doing the entire match to the ref while they're cheating, trying to draw the ref's attention. And I was very well aware of that. So one thing you got to keep in mind when you're pulling a European is you've got to be bitching as much as they do the entire time they're bitching. You got to be running your mouth. And if you notice, they cut out a lot of it on the edited version, but it got pretty heated with me and Ahmed on the unedited version. We were both, neither one of us shut our mouth the whole match. If you want to pull a good, fair match, I'll keep my mouth shut too. But the version of me and the Paul Passmore, is going to be different people depending on, how you are to me. I'm the nicest guy in the world. If you're friendly to me, I'll be the best friend you ever had. I'll meet you more than halfway to be your friend. But if you're an asshole to me, you're going to have a son of a bitch to deal with.
There you go. Well, my friend, it is 9:03 your time, 6:03 my time. I'm about to go get me a bite to eat and stuff. But thank you for joining me on this Friday night. You know what I'm saying? Everybody in the chat, thanks for chiming in and stuff. Anything you want to say before we go ahead and put a bow tie on this episode?
G, if you're watching or you do see this, I hope you ate your Wheaties. I hope you train really hard. I hope you're ready. I want the best version of you can bring. Because I promise you're going to get the best version of me. I'm ready. I did the work. I promise you, I did the work. And now it's time to play. You got a very excited, healthy, happy, motivated opponent coming. So I hope you're able to bring the same, and may the best man win.
There it is. Oh, I got one thing for you, Paul. You got some homework, okay? When we get off this show, you're going to pull up that Challenger Series match, and you're going to repost it. Put whatever you want. Hey, this is why I got my match coming up for Knuckles Up. Whatever you want to put that up there. So that way, the more you put that up there, more people are going to see that. Carnegie will probably see it. Magda from Canada might see it. Whatever. Keep doing that. Post that stuff. You got to refresh everybody's memory, man, because you do it one time, they'll see it, but then are they going to remember it 2 months down the road? You see what I'm saying?
Yep. And you know what? I know I want to post 3 or 4 pretty big wins, even if it was 5 years ago, and just throw it out there and yeah, create a little interest.
There you go. My friend, we'll talk soon. probably sooner than that, because we're all in these group chats, that kind of stuff. So we'll talk soon, my friend. Enjoy the weekend.
Absolutely.
Tell my nephews I said what's up. Candy, you watching? Talk to y'all soon, my friend. We'll keep in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Everybody,
as always, I appreciate the opportunity to be on the show, Jody. Thank you.
That's right. Everybody, thanks for watching. Enjoy your weekend. We'll talk soon.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Take care.